The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Get it playing, Lennon. Hello, everybody out there listening to Armed Radio. Thanks for listening to my show, All Aboard with Don Whisman and Dave Coots. That's my, actually, I'm not even going to call him my co-host. He's basically my host. Dave, you want to say hello to everybody out there?
Hey, everybody. How you guys doing tonight?
And remember, everybody, this show is being broadcast live from Boston, Massachusetts. And Dave, there is so much to talk about tonight. I hope we can get everything out within 1 hour. We only got an hour, and so we'll do our best. And as always, Dave, I want to send my prayers out to all the men and women serving in the military. And I want to say thank you to all of our country's veterans. I don't care if you was a veteran of peace or a veteran of war. Thank you for your service. And we do have a Facebook group. It's called Trump 2020 ! If anybody out there belongs to Facebook and you want to join a good patriotic group, join Trump 2020, but don't forget the ! And tonight, everybody, I just want you to know we will be taking calls. So write this number down. It's 1-800-508-5431. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Give us a call. Let your voice be heard. Remember, silence is consent. And you guys, I love old patriotic quotes, and I just want to read a couple of them before we get the show started here. Just two small patriotic quotes. First one, it says, "If we ever forget we are one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under," as written by Ronald Reagan. I think that was great. And my next one says, "Guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism," by George Washington. I think that's a good one. You like that one, Dave?
I like that one a lot right there. I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yes, there's a lot of imposters of pretended patriotism going on in this country, and people making money from it. I don't think it's right. That's something in your heart, Dave. But actually, Dave, before we really get into the meat of things, I just want to let everybody know out there that tonight, I know we've, basically me and Dave both has already endorsed Mary Taylor for governor of Ohio, but I'm going to personally go ahead and say it again. I am endorsing Mary Taylor for governor of Ohio. She will be running in the primary. She's going to be running against a guy named Mike DeWine. I don't hate Mike DeWine. I just think he's part of the establishment. We don't need him. And I'm also decided that I'm going to endorse Jim Renacci for U.S. Senate, and he's got 5 people that he's running against here in Ohio, and I hope he wins, and if he doesn't, I'm going to have to get behind whoever does win. Dave, do you want to make any endorsements, or you want to say anything about that?
Well, I mean, I've already pretty much put it out there that I'm voting for Mary Taylor in the primary. I think Mike DeWine is, like you said, an establishment candidate, in my opinion. I think he's very weak on the Second Amendment, in my opinion. I think it would be more John Kasich, and that is bad for Ohio. As far as the Senate, for the primary yet, I'm still in between Renacci and Gibbons. I really haven't made my mind up yet. I'm leaning more toward Renacci, simply the fact that he has beaten before, and I really think that he probably has the best chance out of every one of them of unseating.
Dave, you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know why you're breaking up, but I know what you were saying. Jim Renacci, he has been tested. He has beaten a couple of high-name Democrats here in Ohio. And yes, he does have the better chance, I think, of beating Sherrod Brown in the midterm elections this November. And you guys, everybody, I don't know why. Dave's a trucker. My host here, my other host, he drives a truck. He's in another state. And sometimes he gets booted out of this room, and he'll be right back, though. It happens to him. He's using like a phone for I don't know, for his Wi-Fi, so it happens. There, he's back. Dave, are you back? Does it sound good now?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, you was breaking up there. Could you tell you was getting ready to get booted again?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, it's okay. I told everybody. I pretty much know that you said that Renacci was battle tested. I mean, that's one good thing. He's been tested, Dave.
He has been tested, and I think, in my opinion right now, that gives him the edge over Gibbons. Like I said, I haven't made my mind up between the I think what we need to do, though, is everybody needs to remember that whoever wins that primary, we have to get behind them full strength. We have to push ahead to get Sherrod Brown out of that spot.
What was you saying the other day, Dave, about we need to get this party energized again? I mean,
we do. We here's the thing with Republicans. I think Republicans, conservatives in general, are horrible about dropping the ball when it comes to momentum. I mean, you had President Trump come in, that Trump train was rolling. We had control of the House, control of the Senate, and they've done some good things, but at the same time, his own party has fought him on a lot of things, and it's killed the momentum that the Republican Party had. And I think we do it on the state and the local level too. Conservatives do a horrible job on capturing and using the momentum in their favor. It's like they shoot their own selves in the foot all the time.
Well said, man. That was well said, Dave. And really, Dave, not all Republicans are good. I mean, I'm a Republican. I'm listed as a Republican. That's why I think, Dave, these primaries are so important. That way we can weed out all the bad ones. Dave. Because some of them are rhinos. You know that.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it goes back. And I mean, I don't want to bash Mr. DeWine because,
yeah, we got to stick together, yes.
I'm sure he's still a good man, but in my opinion, I think Mary Brown would be a much better governor of Ohio. Like I said, I think Mr. DeWine, I'm sorry, I think he's really, really weak on the Second Amendment. That's one of the things that I really believe in.
And I hope you're not going to get cut out again because it's breaking up just a little bit, Dave. But that you brought up the Second Amendment, and we got a lot to talk about because that's under attack. But we'll get to that in just a minute, Dave. But I hope you don't get booted out before we get done with this session here. But remember the other day, Dave, I asked you if you was like put in a room with 100 people, and there was a crucifix hanging on the wall, and just rounded off, there was 100 people in this empty room. If two of those people, Dave, they didn't want that crucifix in that room because they were offended or they didn't like it or whatever. I mean, they would literally take that crucifix out and make 98 people mad to please the two people that didn't want it there, Dave. Now, would you tell everybody out there what you told me today? I think it was great what you told me the answer of this was.
Well, when I told you was that we're part of a constitutional republic, not a democracy. So those two people, they still have the same rights. So we have to be able to find that happy median to where those people don't feel violated, whether it's making another room where people that don't want to see the cross can go in it and not look at it. But, they still have equal rights. We are not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. The majority doesn't rule.
So then I understood. It made sense when you told me that, and I that's why I asked you that again here tonight on the radio show, because, I do believe in the Constitution, and if we do believe in the Constitution, Dave, you're right. We have to give everybody their rights under the Constitution. But I'm telling you, Dave, the Constitution, it's under attack right now. I mean, it's being used in ways it shouldn't be used. People are abusing it. But are you ready to get started, Dave? I think I'm done endorsing everybody and everything.
Oh, absolutely. Let's get it going.
Well, by now, I guess everybody's heard about the Syrian leader, Bashar Assad. He used chemical weapons on his own people again, and a lot of people died, Dave. And he's done this before. He's done it a lot of times. And these kind of weapons, Dave, when they use these chemical weapons, they don't kill these people quick. They suffocate, Dave. It's a horrible death. Now, after he did this to his own people again, Israel, they finally come out and said they were the ones that carried out the airstrikes against a Syrian air base. Now, they said they informed the U.S. in advance, but, Dave, Russia's, they're not happy, and a lot of people are thinking this could cause war. What do you think about what's going on in Syria? What do you think might happen? And we still got troops over there, Dave. We still got troops in Syria.
Yeah, we still got about 2,000 troops over there. That's a rough estimate. And I applaud Israel for what they done. If anybody's ever seen the effects of chemical weapons, that is a horrific way to die. It's painful. And here's the thing, though. Everybody's laying this at our president's feet. And when in reality, Syria is because of a failed administration from 8 years ago. That's the problem. We had an ineffective leader for 8 years, and we showed no presence in the world.
Oh man, that was a great answer, Dave. And you said something earlier that Russia, they like Assad because of what? What'd you say they like Assad for? What was your reason? What did you say that?
I think in that region, Syria is their only port over there.
So do you think any conflict could come out of this between us, Russia, maybe Russia attacking Israel or something like that?
It's very possible. I mean, you can't really judge what's going to happen, but it's very possible that there could be some kind of conflict, and I mean it could escalate. Well, that's always a possibility.
Well, you know how we protect Israel, right? So Russia kind of looks at Syria the same way we look at Israel. Am I correct by saying that?
I would say yes, simply for the fact that that's Russia has an interest. They have a vetted interest in Syria, just like China and Iran.
Well, there's a lot of scared people in this country right now, Dave, and I think they got a right to be. There's a lot going on in the world. It's a good thing we got our president. They were where he at. We got the right president. We got the right Secretary of Defense. I'm glad we got Mad Dog Mattis, and we'll get into that more, how more effective Trump is. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But, Dave, here's something that's been going around. I guess you heard about the FBI raiding the office of one of Trump's longtime personal attorneys, Micheal Cohen, Dave. Robert Mueller was behind this, and they supposedly seized records relating to payments to Stormy Daniels, some emails, some tax documents. Dave, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think this is nothing but a political witch hunt, brother. This is over. Why are they still doing this?
That's all it is a political witch hunt. And what happened is, Mueller was supposed to be investigating Russian collusion, and I think that we've pretty much ruled out Russian collusion. So
yes.
This investigation shouldn't be going on. But my thing is, what about our attorney-client privilege? I mean, what if you think about, go back to the Clinton era, the Bill Clinton era.
I didn't even think about that, Dave. They did. Yes, good.
And if you go back to the Bill Clinton era, when I think his name was Kenneth Starr, was appointed as a special prosecutor.
Yes, you're right.
If he would have done that to Bill Clinton, the liberals' heads would have exploded. They would have been jumping on violation of constitutional rights. It would have been horrific. But the thing is now that these guys think they're above the law. If you look at everything that they've gotten away with, they really think that they're above the law and they can do whatever they want and there's going to be no consequences.
Dave, Mueller, I tell you this, Robert Mueller, he has wasted so much taxpayer money. I think he's just looking for something that's not there, Dave, and he's not going to find anything. I mean, so what if Trump slept with Stormy Daniels? I don't care, Dave. I don't care.
Well, I don't care. Not only that, but the majority of the American people don't care, Donald. That's already been proven. I don't care what that man done 11 years ago. I didn't vote for him to be my spiritual leader. I voted for him to make this country great again. I voted for him to do the things that he's doing, to build a border wall, to end government restriction, to cut taxes, to grow our gross domestic product, which he's done over 3% the last 2 quarters, by the way. Look at unemployment, all-time lows. Black unemployment, all-time lows. National Federation for Small Businesses, their biggest worry right now is finding employees. It's not taxes or government regulations. So to tell me that man's not doing what I voted him in to do is hogwash. I don't care what he done 11 years ago. I care what he's done since he raised his hand and took an oath of office to become president.
Oh, man, great response, Dave. I love you, brother. That's a great response, man. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. I tell you the truth, Dave. You really know your politics, and I feel the same way. Trump is an effective president, Dave. But now we'll get over to our Second Amendment, how bad it's under attack right now, Dave, and it is. It's being attacked not only in states, but their own government's attacking our Second Amendment. Now, our Second Amendment is under attack so bad, Dave, that the Republican state legislators in South Carolina introduced a measure that would allow the state to secede from the United States on Thursday. They did this. They are doing this, and this probably won't happen, but they are doing this in case the federal government begins to seize legally purchased firearms in the state. And like I said, I don't think this will ever take place, Dave, but you just don't never know nowadays. You don't know.
No, you don't. And I mean, Don, you know me, so you know that's one of the things that I'm most passionate about is the
Yes.
Second Amendment.
Oh, yes.
And it's simply for the fact that I think when our founding fathers put our country together, that Second Amendment was our guarantee against a tyrannical government and for the security of ourselves, during our normal everyday lives.
Well, you're right, Dave, and you sent me a video today, and a lot of other people sent me the same video, and everybody needs to watch this. I wish the liberals would watch it. It was that video you sent me where this guy was asleep, and one of them old revolutionary guys that fought in the Revolutionary War was telling the guys why they were fighting, telling that guy why they fought that war, because we wanted to get away from that tyrannical government, Britain, with taxation without representation, and you remember the video, right? It's an awesome video, Dave. It just reminds me of what you were talking about.
Yeah, I remember it, and honestly, I believe that our founding fathers would have been shooting a long time ago. When a lot of this other crap started. I don't think our founding fathers would have put up with as much as we have put up with.
Dave, I'll tell you the truth. You could go back to the generation that fought in World War II. I don't think this crap would be going on today if that generation was still running this country. I don't think none of this crap would be going on, brother.
No, and here's the thing. It's like we talked about it prior to the show. The Democratic judge and circuit judge in Massachusetts who ruled that assault rifles or weapons of war are not included in the Second Amendment. Well, guess what, Judge? AR-15s are not weapons of war. It is not an assault rifle. It is a sporting semi-automatic rifle. You would not take an AR-15 into battle.
Yes, that was U.S. District Judge William Young in Massachusetts, and it was an old law they passed in 1998 where they banned it, and he did, Dave, exactly what you said. He said that these are military rifles. He said these are designed for combat rather than sporting applications. It's the ARs and the AKs. I mean, Dave, who is this guy to tell the people of his state what his opinion of the Second Amendment is? It says shall not be infringed. What part of that does he not understand? This stupid judge. It burns me up, Dave. These federal judges, they burn my butt, buddy.
Well, they do, and here's the thing too, though. I mean, even if you look at it, like say on our Ohio level, look at John Kasich. He goes around talking about common sense gun reform. We already have common sense gun laws on the book. Enforce the laws that we have on the book and leave everything else alone. You've already infringed on our Second Amendment enough. Leave it alone.
Dave, I don't think they are going to leave it on. I think it's going to get worse. I'll tell you how, Dave, and this is something that we've talked about too. I can't really believe this is happening. But Dave, the residents of Deerfield, Illinois, have until June the 13th to get rid of all these so-called, I'll say so-called, that's what they call them, assault rifles. Weapons from their homes, or they're gonna pay a fine up to $1,000 a day. Dave, this goes against our Constitution. It's wrong, and I don't even think it's legal. How could Deerfield, Illinois, do that? How could they do it, Dave?
Well, I'll tell you how they do it. It's because their citizens aren't involved in their local politics. So you have all these left liberal libtards, right? That are setting legislation for everybody, and it's like this. If I lived in Deerfield, I'd say I don't own an assault rifle. I own an AR-15, an Armalite version 15 semi-automatic sporting rifle. It is not an assault rifle. I'm not paying you anything, and if you want it, Donald, you know my two favorite words, brother.
Moanabe. Tell everybody out there, Dave, that don't know what Moanabe stands for, and tell them what it is. It's Spartan, right?
It means come and take it.
Is that Spartan? Is that something the Spartans used to say? Moanabe?
That's what Leonidas told King Xerxes
at the
Battle of Thermopylae.
And if anybody don't know what that is, that was from the movie 300, and that was a true story, you guys. And then again, right there, King Leonidas, that's a true story. He was fighting against a tyrannical government trying to take over Sparta, which was part of Greece, right, Dave?
Yes.
I mean, history does repeat itself, just like Hitler. There'll be another Hitler rise, I guarantee it. There'll be another Stalin one of these days, Dave. These people need to wake up. I'm getting tired of it, Dave. It bothers me at night, just thinking, why do these people want to destroy our country, Dave? Why do they want a big government? Why do they want higher taxes? Why do they want these illegals in our country? I mean, it's okay for people to come here the right way, Dave, and I did ask Mr. Renacci when I met him. I talked to Jim Renacci just a few days ago. He is current U.S. representative, and he said that he believes in fairness, that they should be at the back of the line and, come in the right way. I'll welcome anybody, Dave, who comes in this country legally. But if you sneak over that border, I don't think that's right. You're breaking the law. And like you said before, Dave, these dreamers, these Democrats say, they're pulling them away from their families, Dave. But I guarantee if you did something, they're going to pull you away from your family if you broke the law.
Yeah, of course they would. They wouldn't care that you broke the law. You go to jail. And they put up these little kids, all their dreamers that, they're blah, 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 blah. Their mother and father brought them here illegally. What they need to do when they take their butts back across the border, stick them in Mexico, is they need to look at their mom and dad, say, thanks, Mom and Dad, for bringing me somewhere that I wasn't supposed to be. You don't reward them. You don't get rewarded for breaking the law. You get punished. If you want to come to this country the legal way, you want to assimilate to our culture, to our values, that's great. If you think that our culture and our values are so bad, then keep your butt wherever it is that you're coming from. Don't come to our country and then think that we should assimilate or bow down to you. You're coming here for a reason. If you don't like it, then keep your butt wherever you're coming from. We don't want you here. If you want to come here and assimilate and become an American citizen and love this country and love our values and our culture, embrace our culture, by all means, do it. If not, keep your butt wherever you're coming from, because we don't want you. Don't come here and tell me not that I can't have bacon because you don't like it.
Or it's against your religion where you came from, This is our country, Dave. I mean, we're immigrants. I mean, our forefathers are immigrants, but still, our forefathers have fought and died in this country, Dave. We founded this country. It's only right they come here the legal way, man.
Well, not only that, Donald, but when we came here, when our founding fathers and our ancestors come here, we assimilated to the culture. We assimilated. We embraced the American value. We embraced the American dream. If you work hard, if you abide by the rules, if you try to do everything the right way, that you can prosper. You can be a better person. If you believe in that, that's great. But don't sneak in here and then preach to me about your flag or your religion or your culture. It's okay to have that, but embrace America first and foremost. And if you don't want to do that, go back to where you come from. It's that simple.
Exactly, Dave. And what you said right there, it takes me back when I was a kid. I used to watch these old black and white movies, and it's probably the 30s and 40s movies from that era, and you'd see people coming from Europe on these big ships, and they would see the Statue of Liberty, and they were so thrilled, Dave, just to become an American. They came here and adapted. They loved this country. And so, I mean, it's changed, though, Dave. It's not that way anymore. I'm sure some of them still are coming here for the right reasons, but I think more are coming here for the wrong reasons, Dave.
Well, I agree. I think that some of them are coming here with, bad intentions, whether it be terrorist intentions, whether it be trying to change the American culture, infiltrating the American political system, whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist.
Me neither.
But at the bottom line is, what it boils down to is assimilate or go home.
Yeah, if you don't love it, leave it. I mean, I've heard that a million times, right?
That's it. Love it or leave it.
Well, Dave, illegal alien apprehensions have reached the highest levels since Trump took office. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol confirmed that more than 50,000 migrants were apprehended in March. I mean, tell me our president isn't doing his job, Dave. Tell me he is. He's very effective, man.
I think he's effective, and what he's doing is he's trying to fulfill campaign promises. I mean, if you look back, even during the Bushes and the Clintons, I mean, how many of those presidents would come in and actually try to fulfill a campaign promise that they made? You know, time and time again, it was just, you know, they would say something, get elected, then it was forgot about. Trump is the first one to actually come in that I can remember and do his best to fulfill his campaign promises. And what that's doing is it should be energizing the American people. But we are so politically divided left and right, you know, anymore, that there is no common ground. That we can't find common ground anymore. So
well, it's hard to, ain't it, Dave? They won't compromise. There's no compromising anymore.
No, there's not. And the thing is, and this is what I think when we talked earlier in the show about momentum, the conservative momentum gets lost because it seems to me like the conservatives are usually more willing to compromise for the good of the country. And then you've got these libtards over here jumping and screaming, these snowflakes, their thumb stuck in their mouth, or a Tide Pod or a condom hanging out their nose. And what they're doing is, you know, they're almost like they're throwing a temper tantrum until they get their way. And the conservatives usually give in for the good of the country. Well, what that does is that starts to alienate their base, you know, and then their base gets less energized, and then a midterm comes around, and your base isn't going out to vote, so then you have this big blue wave usually during the midterm. That's what I'm afraid of this year.
Scares me to death, Dave. It does. But Dave, I'm not going to say this lady's name, but I was talking to a lady who, she says she works in an official office in our area, and she told me that her and her husband and her family, they're all the Republicans, they're all Trumpers, but her children, they go to high school, Dave, and they're coming home, and we've talked about this before, and we won't stay on the subject long, and she said that, and it's real, Dave, it's true, these teachers are indoctrinating our children right here in our own area. That should not be allowed, Dave. These teachers should not be teaching our kids anything about politics. I don't think they should, especially this liberalism. They should not be teaching our children that. If they want to teach them politics, teach them the rudimental basics of politics, how government works, but don't put your politics or whatever party line you lie with. Don't teach that to our children, Dave. Let our children grow up and form their own opinion when they get old enough.
Right, and you know, and that's a big thing in our public schools right now. It seems like our public education system, from kindergarten all the way up through college, has just started more and more leaning left and left and left and left. So, I mean, we as parents, what I've always tried to do is I've always tried to educate my kids about our government, about the Constitution, but let them form their own political views. And, I mean, some of them would lean a little to the left, but as they got older, you know, that they seem to adopt more of the conservative way of life, and you know, especially once they start having children and stuff, it almost like, you know, something clicks in their head, and they start looking at things a little different. And then you've got some, you know, like one of my daughters, Birdie, my youngest, Kira, they're pretty much very conservative.
I'm glad to hear that, Dave. And I want to go back on this for a minute, Dave. This illegal apprehension thing, but I didn't finish. But you know, most of these border crossers, Dave, how they're evading deportation, Dave. They're claiming credible fear, and 80% of them actually don't get deported because they're claiming they're feared for their life. That needs to stop, Dave. That's a loophole, and it needs to stop.
It's a loophole that needs to be closed. Here's the thing: we all have fears in our everyday lives, but I mean, if we break the law, if I'm afraid that I can't pay my mortgage,
Dave, you're cutting out, brother. Can you hear me, Dave? You guys, he's lost signal again. Like I said, he's a truck driver, and this happens. Dave, maybe you need to reboot again. Can you hear me? If not, I'll keep talking, Dave, while you reboot. I don't know if you can hear me, Dave, but I can't hear a word you're saying.
Yeah, he's not lighting up
yeah,
either.
Hey, Jimmy, can you poke him and let him know to reboot? Because I can't hear him. But anyway, like I said, everybody,
He just left, so he's
there he
probably
is.
rebooting.
Thanks, Jimmy. Dave, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, you cut out. I don't know. I tell her, you're a truck driver, Dave. You're out there using your phone as a mobile hotspot. Things happen. It's live radio. Things happen. But what was you saying, Dave? He was saying something.
Oh, I was talking about to you were talking about credible fear. Well, I was using an example of, okay, say I can't pay my mortgage and I'm in fear of losing my house. If I go out and rob a bank and commit a crime for the money, and I get caught, and I say, well, I was in fear of losing my home. They don't care. They're still throwing me in prison.
You're going to jail.
I'm going to jail. So for them to say, well, we're coming in your country illegally because we're afraid, that don't cut it. That's a loophole that needs to be changed. That border wall needs to be built high, long, and deep.
Deep, very deep, Dave, because I don't want them digging under it like a bunch of tunnel rats. And Dave, it's 8:34. I'm going to give everybody the number again. It's if anybody wants to call in tonight, it's up to you. I mean, or you can post on that group all aboard. I don't know if you're even watching that tonight, Dave.
Yes,
but
I am. Yep,
okay. If anybody wants to make any post or call in, the number is 1-800-508-5431. We'll take your call. But Dave, there is a caravan of illegal aliens from Central America. They're on their way here. They know they're coming, and they're coming here to the U.S. border to seek asylum. But Dave, yesterday, both Texas and Arizona announced that they would increase the number of National Guard troops they will be sending to assist the Border Patrol at the U.S.-Mexican border. And also, New Mexico and South Carolina is going to be sending National Guard troops to the border. And the Mexican President, Enrique Nieto, I think that's his name, he condemns Trump's National Guard deployment. Come on, he condemns it, really? We don't have a right to guard our border, Dave? Dave, can you hear me?
Of course,
okay.
Yeah. Of course, he condemns it.
Oh, well, what do you think about Trump and these governors sending National Guards to the border? What do you think about that?
Well, the thing that I don't like about it, I mean, I love the fact that they're sending them to the border for security. Don't get me wrong, but the thing I don't like about it is they're not letting them carry weapons to defend themselves with, and they're not giving them arrest power.
Wait a minute, I didn't know that. So we got troops going to the border without weapons?
Absolutely. They're not giving them weapons to defend themselves. Well,
thanks for telling me. I didn't know that. Wow. I mean, there's some dangerous people that can be crossing that border, Dave. I mean, what do? They going to stick them with their finger? Is that an assault weapon, too?
That part of it is ridiculous. I mean, and here's the thing. Then you've got governors of like Oregon and California who say they're not going to send troops. Well, guess what? How about when we build that wall, we run it straight up in front of California, Oregon, and Washington, and get all the good people out of there that want to come out, and leave all the libtards over there, and we can relocate all the good people over this way.
Yeah, let's just ban everything, Dave. Let's just ban everything. Our hands. Let's ban our silverware. Let's ban cars, because you could kill people with cars, Dave. Let's just ban it all. That's their mentality. But we'll move along now. Unless you want to say something about that, we'll move along.
Well, and it makes no sense, though. I mean,
it's crazy.
If you look at England, they banned firearms, and now they're pushing to ban knives. I mean, their mayor said that nobody needs a knife to carry a knife. It's getting ridiculous. So what's going to happen is they're going to take your knives, and then people are going to start using scissors or forks. What are you going to do then?
Well, they'll ban those.
I mean, we've said this before. Evil is in a person's heart. A person can choose to do good or evil. It doesn't matter what kind of inanimate object that you use to do that with. That's just a tool that you're facilitating to do your damage with. And the only thing that's going to stop a bad person is a good person.
With a gun or a weapon.
or whatever. I mean, even
or whatever,
their hands.
yes. Even their hands. But they're going to start banning hands too, Dave. It seems to me, I mean, they're getting so ridiculous and carried away with this. Let's go ahead and ban our hands. Let's just chop our hands off. I mean, that's what it sounds like. I mean, I'm making, I'm not serious, but you know what I'm talking about. I mean, let's just ban our hands too while we're at it, Dave.
And it goes back to remember the old analogy of the frog in the boiling water. If you take a frog and you throw him in a pot of already boiling water, he's going to jump out. But if you put him in a pan of lukewarm water and you slowly turn the heat up, sooner or later when he realizes it's getting too hot, the damage is already done and he can't get out. And that's what they're trying to do to us right now. I really believe that. We're already slowly. They're slowly and surely just nipping away, right after right after right. You give them an inch, they take a mile. You give them an inch, they take a mile. And what happens is, I mean, we're losing our rights right before our eyes.
And people are not even paying attention, Dave. That's the bad thing. And Dave, while we're doing this show tonight, if anybody out there is listening that has any contacts with any politician that will be running for office coming up in the primaries or the elections, let them know. Me and Dave will give them a chance to come on our show, and we'll let them say what they want to say, or we can ask them some questions. It's up to them. How do you feel about that, Dave? I've already tried to get a few on here. We may get a couple, Dave. We might just get a couple of politicians to come on our show before the primaries.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a good platform for them to talk about their views and how they believe and, where they stand. And it'll be a good way to get out, local and state-wise for us to the people around the world.
Right, and anybody out there that's listening to me and my other host, Dave Coots here, tell your family and friends to start listening to this show, because I'm telling you, we're just a couple regular guys. We love our country, and we're not sugarcoating anything like Dave says. We're not Willy Wonka. That's Dave saying. I say that. I did your saying, Dave. I'm sorry I took that from you, but am I right, Dave? We're just regular guys.
That's it. I mean, we're just two regular guys who have opinions, and I mean, we happen to support our president. We're also not afraid. We're also not afraid to call him out when we think he's done wrong either, though.
Well, we have supported him enough. I think we've earned that right, and we're not going to follow somebody blindly, Dave. We support him, but yes, we will call him out if he messes up. And it's only right, Dave. I mean, we're going to talk about other people when they mess up. Why not? We will, but I think he's doing a good job so far. I mean, a couple of little things he's done, but
I think he's doing a great job. If you look at everything that he's accomplished, and I spoke of it earlier.
Right.
I don't see any other president's first year in office being as successful as President Trump's. I really don't.
You're right, buddy. But did you hear about Lindsey Graham? He thinks that sending these troops to the U.S.-Mexican border won't achieve border security. Graham also said that building a wall alone won't do anything. Graham believes that there needs to be some kind of comprehensive immigration reform to make it easier for American companies to hire these immigrants. I mean, Dave, he sounds more like a Democrat than he does a Republican. I thought Lindsey Graham was one of the good guys. What's happened to him, man?
Once again, like I said, we need term limits. We need term limits because these guys get bought and paid for. Lindsey Graham, to me, is nothing more than a Reno. How in the world could you think building a wall is not going to help border security? Ask Mexico how they like their southern wall.
Yeah, exactly. But now these sending these border troops, these our National Guard to the border without weapons. Now I'm starting to understand maybe what he's talking about there. Going down there without weapons, we just was going to stand and fight these people as they're coming across. Well, a gun on us, we're dead.
Right, but he wasn't even talking about that, Donald. He was talking about being there. Period. You could have rolled the entire strength of the National Guard out, armored divisions, and he still would have said the same thing. He's an idiot.
It's crazy.
It is crazy, and and that's the thing. People need to start paying attention to what their representation is saying, and when they start saying stuff like that, guys, let's think about what they're saying.
Get them out of there.
Let's vote them out. Let's vote them out, because here's the thing. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't vote down party lines. I vote based on what I think that person is going to do for our country, because we've talked about this before, Donald. Some of the old blue dog Democrats love their country. They love their guns. They love God. But that party is not a Democratic Party anymore. They're a socialist party.
It's not your grandpa's Democratic Party anymore. Didn't you used to say that, Dave?
I very well did, and it's not. It's not our grandfather's Democratic Party anymore. It's sad. It's sad, and
it is sad.
I really think that a lot of the old Democrats would be rolling over in their graves if they seen how far left that these guys have gone.
And Dave, you're right, and it is sad. It's just division, Dave. It's just so much division in our country. These two parties, and I don't know why the liberals are doing what they're doing, Dave. I'll never understand them. Put it that way. I can't get in their head. I can't even think like them. I try to think like them, but it's impossible. I don't know where they get this crap at. Are they it must be our teachers and stuff, and what they're hearing on TV. I don't know, Dave.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, we'll use California for example. California has a lot of good conservative people out there, but you've got all these big cities out there, and the libtards are pretty much running California and making it so hard on those people out there. It's sad.
Is it because these people get dependent upon the government, Dave? Is that why they stay with the Democratic Party? Because they want from our government?
I think so. I think a lot of it, they believe in bigger government, more involved government. And, I mean, that's not what our founding fathers intended. Our founding fathers never intended for a person or a state to be dependent on the federal government. It was never intended to be that.
Well, Dave, there's one thing I want to throw out before I want to get into these tariffs tonight really quick, but I want to throw this out. When you go to vote, Dave, that's the only time that I don't care if you're the poorest man in the country or a multi-billionaire, your vote is the same as the next guy. You know what I mean? So use that right. Get out here, get registered, go vote. I mean, go vote in the midterms, vote the primaries, vote in any local election. Get involved. I mean, it's your right. And seriously, Dave, that's the only time that you are equal. A poor man is just as equal as a rich man when it comes to your vote, man. Now, I hear the phone ringing in the background. I don't know if we're getting a call. But, Dave, oh, I can hear it. Sounds like we got a caller here. Well, it's Dave. It's Chris from New Orleans, Dave. Hey, what's up, Chris? Or Louisiana, I'm sorry.
Louisiana. What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Chris? Not a whole lot, man. Just calling, and I think what the FBI did to Donald Trump's attorney was awful.
Oh yeah,
they rated his
yeah. It was definitely a big breach of attorney-client privilege.
Yeah, it was.
Chris?
I mean, they never did that to Obama and stuff like that.
They're
gonna do it to Trump though.
Oh, everybody, they do that to Trump. That's what everybody does. I mean, these liberals, anything goes with Trump. It don't seem to matter, Chris. But, Chris, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you calling in every week, buddy. And we appreciate you listening to our show, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
All right, brother. Y'all take it easy.
All right, bye-bye, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Dave, are you there? Can you hear me, Dave? All right, Dave, this is something, thanks, I want to thank Chris again. Chris listens to our show, God bless him, thank you, Chris, but anyway, Dave, this is something we ain't talked about in a while, and this proves how effective our president is. Now, we're going to talk about these tariffs that Trump, he put these tariffs on steel and aluminum coming from China, and this has been a few weeks ago. Then China hit the United States with tariffs, and we thought this was going to turn into some kind of trade war. And then, all of a sudden, Chinese wants to bargain with us now and do something with the auto industry. I don't even know what I did with my thing. Dave, do you got anything you want to say about these tariffs?
Absolutely. What I think is, a lot of people, they come out on Trump and they judged him a little too harshly on that when it first came out. They said, you're going to start a trade war, the stock market's going to crash, products, prices are going to shoot through the roof. But what they need to remember is Trump is a businessman. And he's very smart. I think he knows what he's doing. But what a lot of people don't need to forget, too, is we have never had, in the last 20, 25 years, a president as strong as Trump to stand up to these other countries.
You're right, Dave. And what I was saying about China, I found it, but I got to write things down. I can't remember everything. Some things I got to write down, but China is now promising to cut auto import duties and ease foreign ownership limits for the auto industry, and that shows me. I thought this is really going to make something big. They were going to, like I said, get into some kind of big trade war, but they gave in, Dave. They literally gave in because they knew Trump was not going to. He wasn't going to take it. He wasn't going to be like Obama or the rest of some of these other presidents. And I know Jimmy said a while ago that I think George Bush Sr. He's the only one I think puts any tariffs on any other countries. But Trump ain't going to put up with this crap, Dave. He's a businessman.
No, he's not. And I mean, that's the thing. That's why you have, wanting to renegotiate NAFTA. NAFTA is a 25-year-old agreement that never should have been signed in the first place because we couldn't be competitive with it. That's why you have China, wanting to negotiate trade, trade now. China needs us more than we need China.
So, do you think they were like testing Trump when they started slapping tariffs back on us and all this and that? Were they just testing him, Dave?
They were, and I mean, there's still some tariffs that have stuck in place, with like some of the agricultural tariffs. But then our Secretary of Agriculture come out. I think his name is Sonny. I forget what his last name is. He come out and said that the United States is going to support their farmers, and they're not going to leave them hanging if the Chinese, if they don't do anything with the tariffs that they've imposed. So that's always a good, a plus, knowing that your industry is not going to be affected by it because the federal government is going to help you.
Well, that's a good thing. But Dave, I don't know. Is there any more you want to talk about these tariffs and the possible trade war or anything? Is there anything else you want to say about that?
Well, I mean, other than the fact that we are making China a superpower anyway, so I'm glad to see these tariffs being implemented. I mean, thank you Walmart.
Thanks Walmart.
We're making China a powerful country.
Yeah, thanks Walmart. We really appreciate that. But Dave, I mean, there's so much crazy stuff going on, Dave. I was reading here a while back that this woman that lives in Sacramento, she's selling her home, and she made a stipulation, Dave. She told the realtor she would not sell it to anyone who supports or voted for President Trump. Can you believe that? I mean, people are nuts, man.
Well, and that just goes back to that whole far left philosophy. It is nuts. It makes no sense. What she just done is she just made her house extremely hard to sell. Because if you look at I don't know what the percentages are by no means.
I don't either.
But if you look at the percentages of conservatives that own homes versus the percentages of libtards that own homes, I'd say that the percentages are probably higher for conservatives.
Well, you're probably right, Dave. And you and I have talked about. I'm going to change the subject. You and I have talked about this subject not too long ago. And I'm going to be blunt, Dave. I think our country needs to bring back the draft. I have 4 grandsons, so I'm not trying to put other people's children in danger or anything like that. I have 4 grandsons. I believe our country needs to bring back the draft. I really do, Dave.
Well, how do you feel about that? I have 3 sons too. I mean, I don't know if we need to bring back a draft versus a required mandated service. Whether it be when they turn 18, they're required to serve in the military for 2 years. I think that would be great for the younger generation. It would help them learn to have discipline and respect for themselves and for their country.
Do you think that would stop a lot of this drug activity, a lot of our youth from getting on drugs if we drafted them, Dave?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it a draft as much as a mandated service.
Mandated service. It sounds better, I guess, that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they're required to serve 2 years, from 18 to 20 or whatever.
So we'll be a little political correct on that one, right?
Yeah, you're talking about the people that won't go to college?
Anybody, just draft.
I think if they're going to go to college, then let them do it while they're in the military. I mean, just because you go to college shouldn't give you an exemption of serving your country if they mandate it.
Now, see, I told you, Dave, I said at least boot camp, and Dave, you was right. You come back and said, no, at least 2 years, Don. That way our country is getting something from it. They're serving our country. I know they pay them, but still doing a service for our country. So basic training you don't think would be enough, do you?
Well, no, because it's so expensive. It's really expensive to put somebody through basic training. Then if you just put them through basic training and let them go, but if you give them a 2-year mandated service, then they're performing. The government is at least getting some of that money out of them. In service, they're still being paid for it, but the government is still getting their money back from their training. And the training that they receive, they could use that post-military. I mean, they could use that out in their regular lives.
You're right, Dave. And we was talking about California earlier, Dave. And I just want to tell you, you probably read this story, but the DMV out in California, do you realize they have provided illegal aliens with over 1 million driver's license as of this past Wednesday? What is going on in California? Come on, Dave. Giving them license to drive, knowing they're not legal citizens? I mean, it just keeps getting worse, this state of California. And I know there's a lot of good Republicans out there, Dave. I agree with what you said. That wall, they need to border that state off too, man.
Well, I just know how they can do that. I mean, how does that go for insurance if an illegal hits you? I mean, it's putting more burden on American citizens, and it goes back to the whole libtard philosophy, to where they care more for an illegal alien than they do an American citizen. They care more for an illegal alien than they do a veteran. They care more for an illegal alien than they do homeless children in this country, than they do elderly in this country. It's pitiful. That just makes me so mad when they do that crap.
Yeah, they put them before true Americans, Dave, and that is wrong. The homeless veterans, Dave. Just think about that. And oh man, I seen a video. It just makes me sick. But anyway, I don't know if you know that former Arizona sheriff. I know you remember Joe Arpaio. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was a sheriff out there in one of those counties in Arizona. He got famous for building that tent jail. You remember him, Sheriff Arpaio? He is now going to be running for Senate, I guess, in his state. And if he becomes U.S. Senator, he's going to challenge the legality of Obama's birth certificate. He's still stuck on this birther thing. I don't know. Are you there, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's a waste of money.
It is a waste of money. Obama's gone, but I tell you what, he's still out there running his mouth. He won't let our president, he won't let him govern, Dave. He needs to leave our president alone. Just shut his mouth, go home, live his life. He served his 8 years. Let our president govern. Quit going to these countries, Dave. He needs to quit going to these countries and running his mouth about things.
Oh, I agree. He just needs to fall away into the night and go sit somewhere and retire in peaceful bliss, because he has no place in our country anymore. He's an ex-president, and that's all good, but 8 years under him was horrible.
It was. And Dave, something very sad happened last Monday. I think I sent this to you. A veteran took his own life in a St. Louis Veterans Affairs Hospital waiting room. Literally took his own life, man. I mean, it's sad anytime that happens. I know you said, what was it, 20 a day are doing this?
22 a day, Donald. And I guess that's what makes me so angry, you know. But when you have states and a whole political party that are more worried about people who aren't even citizens than they do their veterans. You know, when you've got 22 a day that are dying, you've got veterans in the VA who can't get care, who are being pushed and put on waiting lists and are dying while they're waiting to be seen by a doctor. But yet they're going to let an illegal come in and put them in the system, give them so much money every month for how many kids they've got, you know, give them money to live on, give them free health care, and you've got a homeless vet. It pisses me off.
Now, Dave, when an illegal alien goes to have a baby in these hospitals and they don't have insurance, who do you think's paying the bill for that illegal alien that don't have insurance?
We all are, and but
Joe taxpayer, brother, you said it.
You know, and that guess that's what makes me so angry, because you do have 22 veterans a day that are committing suicide. You have veterans on waiting lists. You have veterans dying because they can't get the proper health care that they need, and then you've got illegals coming in. They're giving them a monthly check. They're giving them food stamps. They're giving them health care. They're giving them places to stay. You know, they're treating them better than they did the men and women who fought for their country. You know, those are the people that deserve everything, not an illegal alien.
You're exactly right, Dave. I agree with every word you said. But some good news, Dave. Last Tuesday, Iowa lawmakers approved a bill that would cut off state funding to these cities and counties that circumvent federal immigration laws. Now this bill is going to go on. The final vote is going to go on to the Iowa State Senate. Yeah, I think you're in Iowa right now, aren't you?
No, I'm in Illinois right now.
Oh, okay. Illinois. Okay. Well, I thought you was in Iowa. My bad. But it's going to go and where it's expected to be approved. I personally think these liberals are starting to lose ground, Dave. They are losing ground.
Well, not only that, but even in California. I mean, you know, you've got some counties in California who say that they're not gonna abide by California sanctuary state.
I love it, Dave.
And so they're pushing back against the state government, and that's the way it should be. You know, I think Orange County Sheriff, I think she could. Their Attorney General said she could go to jail. You know, my thing is, you know, you're going to come. Yeah.
We just got the warning. Our show's about to end. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Dave, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead, brother. End the show.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Hopefully that we said something, you know, that you needed to hear. And like always, we want to spend a special thank you out to all the armed forces out there that are serving at home and abroad. We want you guys to stay safe. You guys are always in our thoughts and our prayers. And, you know, keep your head down and your powder dry, guys.
Great. Love it, Dave. Love it. We're not going to take it anymore. We're done.